Hey guys, I am back with a quick tutorial on how I created the storage unit for all my writing and drawing supplies. Ever since I made my stationery collection video, you guys have been asking for this one, so here it is. The materials for this only cost about £12, so it's great if you're on a budget as well. Before we get into it, I'd like to thank Squarespace for supporting my channel and sponsoring today's video, and I will tell you more about them at the end. So let's start off with the supplies, some of which you might already have in your home. You're going to need a pencil and ruler, a cutting mat, an X-acto knife, and a glue gun. And then of course you're going to need some foam boards, and I'm using 5mm ones. The reason why I chose foam boards is because they're super affordable, they're lightweight and really easy to cut, yet they're sturdy enough to hold all your stationery. Before you get started, you want to gather all your writing supplies and categorize them to figure out how many sections you want to have, how much space you'd need for the sections. Do you want to organize them by brand or color? So just think about your ideal stationery holder. Now, because this is a DIY project, you should of course customize it to your own needs. So once you have an idea in your head, make a rough sketch of the shape, size, and layout of the unit. You can search online for some layout ideas, and I'm also going to give you my exact measurements, but you really want to consider making one that fits the space that you have available on your desk, as well as how many supplies you want to store in it. So just as a guide, gather the most supplies you want to fit in a section of the unit and kind of see how big it should be. And then the depth of the unit should be just about 5mm longer than the length of your pens. If you don't want to do the math, or if you don't want to customize it, then I will have all the measurements that I'm using on my blog in inches as well as millimeters, so I will have a link in the description. Alright, so now we are ready to get our foam boards. I am first going to cut out the pieces for the outside of the box, so just use your pencil to measure everything out and cut the foam board with your X-acto knife. The trick to getting a clean cut on your foam boards is to go over it 3 times. The first time you're going to cut through the outer layer, the second time you're going to cut through the foam, and then the last time you're going to cut through the last layer. If you do it right, then it's going to come right off. Otherwise, just go over it one more time to make sure you have a clean edge. Don't try to cut through all the layers in one go. It's just not going to work as well. So now that I have them all cut, I'm going to label the pieces just so that I can see what I'm doing. But it's actually a good idea to label them yourself as well so that you don't get them confused. Alright, so get your glue gun ready and start gluing the pieces together to form the outer box. As you can see, I first glued the sides to the back plate, and then I glued the top and bottom plates. With the glue guns, of course, you have to work as fast as possible because the glue dries super quick. You could also use other types of glue, but I prefer not to have to wait for things to dry. If you have any excess glue, you can carefully trim it off using your X-acto knife. Next, we are going to make the shelves, and for that I'm going to make some slits in the pieces so that the vertical ones can interlock with the horizontal ones. Starting with the horizontal ones, I first cut them to size, and then I'm going to measure where the slits are going to be, and they're going to have to be the same thickness as your foam board so that they can interlock with the other ones. When making my pencil markings, I always make sure to measure on both sides just to make sure that my lines will be parallel to each other. Don't worry about getting super clean edges here because they're not going to be visible once we fit everything together. For the tiny cuts in the middle, you don't need to use a ruler anymore. Just cut right through and then push the foam outside and flip it around and cut it from the backside as well to help it come off. So I'm going to repeat the exact same process for making all the slits for both horizontal shelves. The vertical pieces are going to be very similar, just different sizes, and they're also going to have slits midway through so that they can interlock with the horizontal ones that we just made. This might seem a bit of a tedious process, but I promise after we're done with the slits, the hard part is over. So now that we have cut all the pieces, I'm going to take 2 of them and fit them together where the slits are. Then I'm taking the second horizontal piece and fitting it in as well. Taking the outer box that we made earlier, I'm going to place the shelves inside and then fit the rest of the vertical pieces. You might have to fiddle with them a little, and you know what, it might not come out perfectly straight, but this system is going to give the shelves much more stability than if we were to cut little vertical pieces and glue them on one by one. Now I'm adding the bottom side for the shelves, and then I'm sectioning off that compartment with 2 narrow pieces. I didn't use glue for any of these because I didn't find it necessary, but you certainly can if you want. So once you're done, this is what it should look like, and please don't worry if you have any imperfections, because once you put all your pens in, you're not going to notice them. For the top of the unit, I decided to create a washi tape holder, so I'm cutting out 2 small pieces with slits in the middle using the exact same process as before, and then I'm gluing them on each side of the back plate. To finish it off, I'm taking a smaller piece and gluing it to the front. I applied some glue to the bottom of the washi holder and then secured it to the top of the unit. For the piece that's going to hold the washi, I actually sacrificed a wooden coat hanger, and I cut off the bar at the bottom the same width as my unit. Finally, I'm just putting all my washi tapes on the wooden bar and then fitting it into the slits of the holder. Alright, so now for the fun part and the highlight of your work, you're finally ready to fill it up with your pens. So I organized mine by color, and then I put all my fine liners and brush pens in the smaller sections to the right, but you can organize this however you like. I also added some double-sided tape dispensers and just other craft supplies in the bottom sections, and with that, the unit is ready to use. I think this is such a nice way to store and display all your writing and drawing supplies, and every time you see it on your desk, I promise it'll really spark inspiration to create. So before I end this video and show you guys more close-ups, I'd like to thank Squarespace once again for sponsoring today's video, and I want to tell you why I've loved my experience with them when I created my portfolio years ago. So if you need to build any type of website or an online store, then Squarespace is the best place to go because they have tons of beautiful and professional looking templates that you can customize yourself. It's really easy and intuitive to use, and you don't need to have any experience in web design or anything like that, so you can create and have your website running in no time. My experience with their customer support has been amazing. They're always there to help you out, so if you're interested, make sure you go to squarespace.com/mylifeinabullet. That will give you a free trial as well as 10% off your first purchase. Alright you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I hope it inspires you to create your own stationery storage. Some of you have already used my blog post to create yours, and I'm so happy to see them, so make sure you send me a picture on Instagram if you make one as well. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys!